Hi, I'm Desiree Marie Velez. I'm an actress, an on-camera host, and a producer. And I just got interviewed by Keith Andrew on the Keith Andrew Network. Listen, I really want you to tune on in on his shows and see all his fabulous guests, because by supporting Keith, you're supporting us. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, no, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Keith Andrew, and you're watching the Keith Andrew Network. This is episode 719. Today, I'm here with Desiree Velez. It's great to have you on the show once again. This is episode part 2 of the Keith Andrew Network.
Well, hi, Keith. I'm so happy to be back after 2 years, and happy anniversary. This is like, how long have you been doing this now?
Oh, 7.5 years.
Woohoo! Well, that's something to be proud about.
No, absolutely. And like I said to you when I first interviewed you, I want to do this until the day I die. That's not saying that to be cute, not saying that to be funny. I found something that makes me happy, and it makes me feel like a worthwhile human being. And this is how passionate I am about it.
Well, I think that's great. That's what it's all about. And if there's anything that this pandemic, well, let's say 2020 sucks, but there have been some good things. And one of the things that this pandemic has opened a lot of people's eyes to is exactly that. Life is short. Things are unexpected. You can't plan for everything. So the best thing that you can do for the amount of time you are on this earth is really enjoy your life and the very special people that are close to you and support you, because you just never know what's going to happen.
No, absolutely. You know, my friend said to me, you know, I said, I want to be famous. I don't want to be an A-lister, because when you're an A-lister, you have paparazzis everywhere. And
yeah, paparazzis, yeah.
And for me, I don't have the attention span of having someone follow me around. I mean, if someone can follow me as a camera, that's fine. But you enjoy your privacy. Otherwise, you feel like Batman. You just want to backhand whoever's behind you, because it gets overwhelming. But, you know, I do want to be an A-lister and everything, to be recognized and have my own show, be on TV, just be a celebrity in general. But at the same time, you kind of give up your lack of privacy. You know, I give you an example of what I'm talking about. We're at the Ulster County Fair. Now, it's funny. I actually watched our last interview, and I noticed I was stuttering, and I was like, you know what? We're going to do this for a second time. I'm not going to do that. And unfortunately, I'm falling into bad habits. But when we were at the Ulster County Fair, I had the Keith Andrew Network shirt. I had the hat. I said to my dad, it would be nice if just one person just said to me, oh, hey, you're the Keith Andrew. We watch your show online. But my dad actually looked at me and said, you know what, one day you're going to regret saying that, because you want to have your own privacy.
Yeah, well, I tell you, that's one thing that I think everybody got with this shutdown, to the point where we actually miss humans. I mean, we miss being able to hug someone when things go bad, or just to be across someone and laugh, and just, you know, sit at a restaurant and have a drink and eat a sandwich. You know, you start missing the simplest things in life. I know when the shutdown happened for me, we were talking about this, you know, off screen. I had a teaching position that was very flexible. So if I had auditions or I booked a film, I could go and do that. I also had a business that took me 7 years to build. And I had under contract 9 different restaurants where I provided family fun entertainment one night a week. So I had myself and a team of artists. And so for the last 6 years, I worked 3 nights a week at 3 of these 9 restaurants. And my other artists worked at the others. And so with the shutdown, I lost a teaching job. I lost my business. My team of artists were out of work, but also the acting industry. I lost that income as well. So it's been devastating. And I don't want to say just to me, but ABC News interviewed me because they said, we find this interesting because you lost 3 sources of income. And I think one of the things that's hardest for people to understand, and it's coming from people that were lucky enough not to lose their jobs. So I always tell people, your reality is not a barometer to judge other people by, because your reality is yours. It's not somebody else's. And so even now, people across the United States that are still unemployed, and it's not because they're lazy, they've just returned to jobs that are gone. And then even though some states have opened up, they've closed again. And those states that have opened, they're opened a much shorter schedule in terms, like I have a mall near my house, it's only open till 7 o'clock. So the restaurants outside of the mall are only open till 7 o'clock. So there's a lot of cut in hours for people. They don't need as much employees as they did before. And so it's become a real issue. With our industry, I have a close friend of mine that's a Broadway actor. Broadway is going to be shut down the rest of this year and possibly next. You cannot social distance singers and dancers on stage. They have to be there. They have to project. And when they project and they sing, they're spittling. And so it was said that an entire Broadway cast ended up catching COVID before the shutdown. And several of them ended up in the hospital and almost didn't make it. So that was enough to scare the theater industry. So theaters across the United States are not going to open. Now that affects entertainment venues. If you're a stand-up comic, if you're a band, if you're dancers, singers, variety acts, you're out of a job. Then it starts to affect other industries outside of it, like entertainment venues that maybe didn't have Broadway shows, but were a place for people to hold dances, fundraisers, weddings, meetings. Now you start to affect people that work in the catering industry because they don't have a reason to make food. They don't have a reason to rent tables and linens and silverware. It affects the florists. Guess what? All proms were canceled, right? Think of the thousands of flowers florists didn't sell because proms and weddings were canceled. Now you affect photographers. They don't have any pictures to take of weddings, proms, shows, actors' headshots, products that would be in commercials, because there weren't commercials being shot. There are still not union commercials or movies being shot for the very same reason, safety. I think we were talking about this, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, recently found out that his entire family had COVID. And they were very good at social distancing and staying home, but they had close friends visit who actually didn't know they had the virus. They thought they were doing a good job of social distancing, but they had it and they gave it to his entire family. And there's no hard feelings there, but that's the reality that we're dealing with right now. So I not only lost my teaching job because schools didn't open, I lost my company because we can't entertain in restaurants because restaurants are not fully open, and being this close to a person's face to face paint or whatever, it's not social distancing, so we can't do it. But I had investments in films. One of the films that we are acquiring funding again for, we had the funding. It's the name of the film is Empath, and we had 3 people, and 2 of the investors got scared. And so they said, look, guys, I just don't think I'm going to invest right now. I got to wait and see what happens because my business is not making any money right now. So it affects everybody. So now we're back to getting the funding in, but guess what? That's half the battle. We still have to worry about where we're going to shoot. And so we're looking at different states that have different levels of the virus. There's a lot of security measures that the union has implemented. And so everyone has to have masks. You can't eat at a buffet. You have to eat box lunches. If you have extras, they've got to be spread apart and in a different area. It affects the makeup artists and the costumers in terms of how they handle the actor and how they keep separate things for everyone so that you're not even sharing the same brush or a pen or anything. There's going to be people wearing gloves, little booties on their feet. The crew has to say masks. You have to check temperatures, write a login. Some people that have the financing are actually talking about quarantining the entire cast and crew for 15 to 16 days before even beginning to shoot, which is a great thing to do, but a lot of smaller independent films don't have the budget to do that. So it's going to be a challenge. Little by little, certain things are opening up, but it's changed the way in how we audition. No one can audition in person anymore. Everything is self-tape, which is why I have, this thing back here, because when you self-tape, you try to hide. I try to hide things like that over here or this over here.
But you can always use
yeah,
Zoom.
everything to self-tape.
You can always use
They
Zoom.
do. Yeah, they use Zoom, and some other people are using something that's like Zoom that actually has a waiting area. So you can have a lot of people waiting in that area as if you were, actually auditioning in person. And then they let you in one at a time, and you can't see the other person, you can't hear the other person. I kind of like that because sometimes people get intimidated by another person auditioning before them. And then it's all in their mind, and then when it's their turn, they're like, I can't do a good job as they did. So there's a lot of challenges.
No, absolutely. I didn't mean to interrupt. I do apologize.
Oh, no, go ahead.
There is the thing where you did say waiting room. Zoom does have something called waiting room, but you have to pay for that. I'm using the free version of it. Thank God for that, or I'd be on Skype. The last time we did our interview, I was actually on Skype. I actually now prefer this a lot more.
Well, you can record on this so easily, right? And you can save it, and you can probably edit it off of there and all that. That's been a struggle for me too, because I'm not the most technologically advanced person. And so it's been a little bit of a challenge for me, but it's funny because one of the things during this shutdown that a lot of creative people have done is to work on themselves, not just to get better, but for their sanity. Because the worst thing in the world, and we talked about this too, is ending up quarantined by yourself. You start to go a little loony. So I did, there was a friend of mine that offered a free acting workshop online, and I loved it because even though we were on Zoom, I met people from all over the world. One of my scene partners is Bulgarian, and he's a stuntman. He does movies in Bulgaria and Europe, and he's a stuntman. And he was out of work, so he said, let me take this acting course. So it's a lot of fun and we had people from India online, Texas, just all over the world. The other thing I did was a lot of instructors, in order to keep their sanity, were offering free workout classes. So, man, I was doing Zumba, yoga, body pump, boot camp, anything I could, because I tell you what, this is terrible, Keith. I don't know about you, but I put on a lot of weight during the shutdown from stress. Did you gain a lot of weight?
Yeah, I actually, not so much. My brother likes to tease me that I have a fat neck, and I do see it occasionally. And I actually gained, I was originally 176, and now I'm like 180. So yeah, it's
Yeah, that's about right. It's funny. I had lost weight and I was so proud of myself. I was going to the gym every day, every other day. And then even at the beginning of shutdown, I started doing a lot of walking, but then they shut the parks down. They didn't want people to get near each other because they weren't behaving. And they would leave a park open, and then you'd see people without their mask on, playing volleyball, hanging all over each other. So that made it difficult when they shut the parks down. But I gained back not only what I lost, but another 10 pounds. So when we finally got out onto phase 1 or 2, and I had my first in-person doctor's appointment, they make you weigh yourself on the scale. I was like, no, that's gotta be wrong. I'm not even going to tell you how much I weigh, but that was a bit of a setback. So I'm working on that. The other thing I did is I entered a contest, which Connie Lamont, who is a director and actress that I know with someone else, started Stars Festival Online, which is the first acting festival that was about just submissions for self-tapes. So you got to choose whether you did a dramatic scene, a comedic scene, a commercial, section of a musical, and then your reader, who would be off screen, was also judged. So you were judged for your performance, the quality of your taping, the lighting, the sound, and your reader. And I submitted a dramatic piece, a comedic piece, and a mock commercial. And so we had it online because all festivals are online. You can't have people in person. And they were announcing live, this person won this. And I won for best commercial. I thought, oh, okay. But I was kind of sad because I said, wow, I really worked hard on that dramatic piece. And then after they gave all the awards, they said, but wait, we have one more important award. This award is for best overall on the festival, meaning you won everything. And so I'm listening, and they said the best overall goes to Desiree Velez, and my picture showed up on the screen. And I was like, oh, are you kidding me? Oh my God. It was just over the top. Because again, for me, not being very technologically advanced, and like a lot of actors, I get very anxious about self-tapes because I always hear these casting directors or agents, around the corner talking about, oh, that guy gave the worst self-tape. He was in the dark. I couldn't hear her. The phone was ringing, the smoke alarm, the cat jumped in her lap. So I said to her, oh my God, I do not want to be the person that they talk about later having the worst self-tape. So I worked really, really hard, and I ended up winning the whole festival. So that's the thing. That's where 2020, you have to take your lemons and make lemonade. So even though I was locked in, I would have never put forth that effort in self-taping. And now this is great because now that I won that festival, I feel more secure in the future when someone says, I need you to put yourself on self-tape for an audition. I'm not going to freak out. I'm going to know, what? I know what I'm doing in that department. I may not book the job, but if I don't, it's not because my self-taping was bad. It's probably because I don't have the look they're looking for, or I not have given the delivery the way that they think it should go. And, that's just life, right?
No, absolutely.
But so there were a lot of things. The other thing is I started a podcast radio program called, indie films. And I do that. I co-host with a lady by the name of Renelle. And Renelle Goldman is a screenwriter and a director out of Florida. She's actually the screenwriter and director for Empath, the movie that I'm going to be in, and I'm one of the producers on. So we together co-host the indie film scene, and we invite people that we interview people that work on every facet of producing and filmmaking. So it's makeup art, it's casting directors, people telling you how to market your film, how to sell it, the right way to do it. It just covers. So that's what I've been doing. And I'm also co-writing a book of monologues with her, so that when this stuff finally gets under control and people are really auditioning again, they're going to have another source that they can go to. And it's going to be monologues from the dark side. So some are funny and some are not, but they're monologues that kind of have a little, darkness to them that is new. It's going to be new and refreshing. Instead of you walking in with that monologue from Streetcar Named Desire or Cats or something that 50 other people before you just did, you'll have, you can pull from to audition.
No, absolutely. Now we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, with the last 7 minutes, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Hi guys, my name is Kat Johnston.
This is Donna Drake.
This is Kayleen.
Hi, my name is Kara Svuchek.
I'm Julia Brothers.
Jenna Curtis.
Hey, I'm Jenny Fahn.
Hi, it's Mimi Chin.
Hi, my name is Ella Dorsch.
My name is Shauna Toft.
Hey guys, I'm Anastasia Edwards.
Hi, this is Jackie Nunez.
Actress Becky Hayes.
Hi, I'm Amelia Rose.
Hey there, I'm Saki Mieta.
Hi guys, I'm Alexandria Denise, and you're watching Keith Andrews Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Keith Andrew. This is episode 719. I'm here with a good friend of mine, Ms. Desiree Velez. With the last 7 minutes and counting, I'm going to pass it over to you. You can ask me anything you want, talk about anything you want. But the one thing, two questions I do want to talk to you about is your talk show and about your film that you were telling me off the air.
Okay, so we have a film called Empath. And with the shutdown, we had lost some funding because, people were scared. Now we're getting the funding back for it. And it's a story about a little boy who is an empath, and he's actually autistic. And so he's at a level where he doesn't really communicate with people the way other people do, but he communicates through what he draws. And so he helps solve a murder because all he has to do is brush up against a person and touch them. And immediately he has the ability to draw picture perfect something that they have been through in their lives or have done, which is, the great part about the movie. That's how they end up catching the bad guys, because he was able to draw scenes of what they've done. So it's going to be an amazing movie when we shoot it. The other thing is the Indie Film Scenes Block Talk Radio. That's what it's called, Indie Film Scenes. And we do it live, but then we also post on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and you look up Indie Film Scene, myself, Desiree Velez, and Renelle Goldman, who's a screenwriter and director, we interview all types of people that work in different areas of film production. And it's to really help people that are starting out of the gates, making their own films so they don't make tragic mistakes, because so many movies get made and never get sold. They just sit on the shelf. So it's a educational, and it also helps people that are not just novice filmmakers. They've actually been in it a while. So I hope Keith, I hope you get a chance to listen in on some of that.
Yeah, if you're interested, maybe you want to interview me for an episode.
I thought about that because this is kind of within the indie film show realm. So that is a definite. I would love to interview you. I also do interviews for a show called Click on This. Click on This you can also find on YouTube. With Click on This show, we run the Baltimore New Media Web Fest, which I've been seeing hours of submissions right now for films, short films, web series, music videos, documentaries, experimental animation, just from all over the world. So we're in the midst of judging those. But Click on This show, we interview celebrities. So I did interview Joey Sword, who's a Broadway star. I interviewed Clive Farrington, who was the person who wrote the song The Promise. So his daughter's getting into singing. So I did a double interview with him and his daughter, who was in England at the same time on Zoom. So we're getting ready to edit and put that out. So yeah, if you are home, you're social distancing, you want to check out Click on This show or Indie Film Scene, please do. But also check out you, Keith Andrew.
No,
You'll probably
absolutely.
be the next person we interview.
No, I look forward to it. Now, it's the past 3 minutes left. Was there anything you want to talk about? Anything you wanted to promote? This is your time.
No, basically that. I'm promoting the Indie Film Scene, Blog Talk Radio. I'm promoting Click on This show. You can also attend the Baltimore New Media Web Fest. It's all going to be online. And there's you go to their website, baltimoremediawebfest.com, and they also have a Facebook page. And you can probably watch all the submissions. We're probably airing the submissions online, I believe. The other thing is, in the future, if you would like to submit, self-tapes, look up on Facebook page, Stars Online Festival that Connie Lamont started, and that's for self-missions of tapes. There's other people that started as well, but I am such a bad memory right now. I can't remember all the people in that, but I would love for you to check it out.
No, absolutely. Now, the last thing we were talking about was, you were talking about schools, and you were talking about workplaces open and closed and depends on the state. Schools next week. I know we don't have a lot of time, but we're going to talk about it real fast.
Well, schools where I'm at are all virtual. The elementary schools, the middle schools, high schools as well. They did open some colleges. It's the biggest mistake.
Yep.
They're already getting COVID, and they're already sending kids home. I have one of my painters that I worked with and worked for me on my business that I lost. Her daughter is now back at home because her daughter's suite mate, there's 4 of them, caught COVID, and they sent all four girls home. Now I say, oh, great. So now you send them home so they infect their parents. Yeah.
Well, that's
It's a bad situation.
Well, with the school, it's going to open for 2 weeks, like my dad said. They're going to be open for 2 weeks, and then they're going to be back where they started. But the numbers will be higher this time.
Oh, well, yeah, because they're going to be spreading it. Because, Georgia tried it, but Georgia is not doing any social distancing in the schools. There was a student that snapped a picture of kids in the hallways, and it looked like a mosh pit, a big mosh pit of kids moving, and none of them had masks. So they expelled that kid, but guess what? That kid was smart because that kid got to go home and be safe, and now their whole football team and all these other kids ended up with COVID. And it's the thing that people have to understand about this sickness, it hits everyone differently. And even people that had no preconceived conditions have passed away from it. One example is Nick Cordero, a Broadway star who got COVID, and he was in the hospital over 90 days. And he passed away. And it was the most saddest thing in the world. He left behind a very beautiful wife with a 1-year-old baby boy that they named Elvis. So Amanda Kloontz was keeping everyone abreast on Nick, and she really had hoped, he was going to pull through, but he didn't. But then again, I had another friend who was 41, went on the ventilator for 10 days and survived.
Yeah.
And, he was pre-diabetic. So it makes no sense who makes it through and who doesn't. So everyone's got to stay safe and wear their mask.
No, absolutely. Now, I do have a couple questions for you off the air. But wrapping up, the first question is, how can people follow you on social media? Are you on Facebook, Twitter,
Yes,
Instagram?
I'm on Instagram, and I can tell you that they can find me on Instagram under only one Desiree Marie Velez. Oh, you can't see this, can you? There I go. Only one Desiree Marie Velez. That's my Instagram. I'm also on Twitter, which you can find me as @Desiree Velez 10.
All right.
And I'm on Facebook. Absolutely on Facebook.
Well, don't
And
worry.
that's
Your
on
Instagram will be on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, that's great. I would love for people to follow me on Instagram. I'm trying to really up my numbers on Instagram.
No, absolutely. Now, the last question I want to ask you is, when I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, what was your very first reaction? And if being a guest once again on the Keith Andrew Network, what was your reaction and what made you say yes? And would you recommend it to other people?
Well, I said yes because I could hear the passion in you, and you told me about yourself and how you had disabilities and that you wanted to be able to show the world that people with disabilities can do the same jobs. And I said, hell yeah, they can. And that's why I wanted to support you in doing that, because I feel that in society, unfortunately, whether you're disabled or whether you're Black or Hispanic or Asian, there's always going to be some kind of bigotry or racism that you may hit. But we have to show the world that we are not a stereotype that they have embedded, but rather that we are individuals that create our own awareness for you. And every single person is different, and every single person has something great to offer. And the only way that we can do that is to show the world visually and by sound, and to support each other doing it. So I think you're doing a great job.
No, absolutely. Now, wrapping up our talk show, our fans can follow us on your programs. It will be in your description on the bottom of the screen. Don't worry, I got you covered. And you can also send me the links right after we're done, so it'll be in there. And more importantly, if they want to see some of my work, you can go to the KeithAndrewNetwork.com, available on YouTube, Facebook. If it's not on YouTube, it's on Facebook. If it's not on Facebook, it's definitely on YouTube. And make sure to become fans of both of us today. Wrapping up, it was a real honor and privilege having you as a guest, and I'm looking forward to part 2. Looking forward to part 3 down the road.